Good morning, all of you. Am I audible for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to start with module 4. Okay. And let me introduce this module and then we will proceed. This particular portion, that is IC biasing for D section students, the older syllabus students, it is included in third module itself. Okay. So I'll be sharing that this separate material for you in your classroom. But the portions are same. The only difference is this two topics, it is included in your third module for the D section students. That means the older syllabus. Is that clear, Yatish and Rahul?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Okay. Fine. So in the syllabus, we are going to deal with, in this module, we are going to deal with IC biasing. That is how to provide biasing for an IC. So far, we have learned for many biasing techniques for an amplifier, isn't it? But here we are going to deal with how to bias for an IC, because as you know that if you take an integrated circuit, the internal circuitry will be more complex. That means more number of discrete components will be integrated together. For example, if we take an IC having a number of amplifier stages, suppose we are having 10 stages. Okay, each stage will be having different biasing circuits. So it is not that much easy to design separate biasing circuit for each stages inside a particular IC. So for that, we are having a special technique here. So that we have to learn here. That is how to bias an integrated circuit. That is being done by using a MOSFET current source and current mirroring steering circuit. Okay. So in IC biasing, we are going to learn the process of biasing all the stages of an amplifier. Because if you take an integrated circuit, we can't say that only one amplifier should be there, right? It may be having many stages which are cascaded together, and different amplifier will be producing different gain. So accordingly, the biasing circuits required for each amplifier should be different according to its specifications and requirements, isn't it? So what we will do is, rather than designing separate biasing circuits for each stages, we will make use of some special technique called as current mirror and current steering circuits for biasing this. So that we are going to learn. Okay, in the second part, we will learn the current mirror circuits. There are many current mirror circuits available for this biasing purpose. So we will learn the performance or the comparison of different current mirror circuit in terms of several parameters. Okay, so the commonly used current mirror circuits for improved performances are: one is the simple MOS current mirror. Secondly, we have a simple current mirror with beta helper. Then we will discuss the cascode current mirror and the Wilson current mirror. So we have to learn the circuit diagram and the working as well as some performance comparison of all these current mirror circuits. You will be able to know what is the use of this current mirror in IC biasing. So this is the syllabus of module 4, which is quite simple. Okay. So let us discuss one by one. So you know what is the requirement of biasing, right? That is for the proper. I think my internet is unstable today. Let me share the screen. Okay, so you know the requirement of biasing. That is for the faithful amplification. We always need the Q point to be stable in a particular region. Okay, that is, if you are using a MOSFET amplifier, we will always make use of the saturation region as a Q point in order to get the amplified output without any clipping. That is what is called as faithful amplification. But if you take an IC as such, we know that in an integrated circuit, we will always have many circuits connected together. So for biasing an IC, okay, instead of biasing a one circuit, here we are going to bias an entire IC, right? In an IC, we are having a number of stages or number of circuit stages connected together. So in that case, we are making use of constant current source for the biasing purpose. Okay. So what is the application of constant current source? Constant current source is used for biasing the integrated circuit. Okay. For example, if you consider an IC having a number of amplifier stages, right? Then what you will do is you will fix a current which is called as reference current. Okay. So by using some resistance circuit, or by using some current source, what you will do is you will generate a reference current in one location of an IC. You know that in an IC we are having a n number of nodes, isn't it? So uh, we will focus only on one node, and then we will generate a reference current by using some simple resistance and simple battery. Okay, you know how to generate a current, right? I is equal to V by R. So by using a simple battery circuit or a power supply and a resistive circuit, we will be able to generate a reference current of a required amount. Okay, then what we will do is we are going to replicate this current to other locations of the same IC for the biasing purpose. Either this replicated current will be same as that of the reference current, or it may be a fraction of this reference current. For example, if the reference current is 5 ampere, maybe the replicated current will be half of 5 ampere or equal to 5 ampere or 3 by 4th of the 5 ampere or quarter of 5 ampere. So that process of replicating the current into various other locations for the biasing purpose is called current steering. Okay, again I am explaining. In an IC we will be having a number of amplifier stages connected together, and each amplifier stages will require its own current for biasing purpose. So it is very tedious to design a separate biasing circuit for each stages. Again, that IC will become more complex, power dissipation will be more, and while using this IC for a peculiar amount of time, what will happen, it will get heated up and it will get damaged. That should not take place. Always the power dissipation should be minimized, the heat dissipation should be minimized. For that, we will come up with a technique called as current steering. The concept of current steering is, in a particular location of an IC, we will generate a DC current, which is called as reference current. So what we are going to do is, we will generate a DC current, which is called as reference current, by making use of a simple circuitry, maybe a battery and a resistance. Okay. Then what we will do is, from that particular location, we will steer or we will replicate the required currents to various other locations of the IC, and that process is called as current steering. Is that clear, students? The concept of current steering is clear or not? Now, talking about the advantage of using this current source and current steering circuits, that is, the effort used for generating a predictable and stable reference current, usually which utilizing an external precision resistor to the chip, need not be repeated for every amplifier stage, which means, for each amplifier stage, I need to generate a biasing current, right? And for generating that biasing current, we are making use of an external power supply as well as a very much precise resistance according to our design equation, and that will be allocated to one stage. But what will happen if that IC will consist of n number of amplifier stages? Then we can't replicate the same design again and again for each stage, right? That will create complexity. So by using this current steering circuits, we can able to avoid those tedious process of designing an external precision resistor for each part of the IC. So that need not be repeated for every amplifier stage. That is what is one disadvantage or peculiarity of or feature of current steering and current source circuit, because we are going to generate only the reference current at one location, and by using some current steering circuits, we will be able to steer from that particular location into various other stages. Okay, so need not design separately by using a resistance and power supply. So this process need not be repeated for every amplifier stage. So design will become more simpler in that way. That is one advantage of using current source and current steering circuit. Now coming to the second point, the bias current of various stages tracks each other in case of changes in the power supply voltage or temperature. You know that whatever the voltage that is coming from the uh, government KSEBs, it won't be a stable, right? Always we will have from some sort of fluctuations, isn't it? The power supply coming through the three-phase transformer will have always fluctuation. These fluctuations in the power supply will also result in instability in the biasing process of our ICs. Okay, So what we have to do is, if at all there is a change in voltage, that means the fluctuations in the power supply, or if there is some changes in the temperature, those changes can be tracked. Those changes can be tracked with each other. That means different stages can track each other. For example, since all the circuits are interconnected, right? All the circuits are interconnected. Due to some changes in the temperature or due to some changes in the external power supply, maybe the Q point that we have fixed for the one stage, maybe it would have become unstabilized, or it would have shifted. The Q point have shifted from saturation into some other undesirable regions, maybe cut off or triode region, right? And this shifting Q point can be tracked with other stages also, because you know that whatever you have generated, that the reference current for a particular stage, that is applicable to other stages also. Why? Because from one location we are going to steer the current to other stages. So if at all there is any fluctuations in one stage, it can be tracked in other stages also. That is one more advantage. So we can fix the Q point in a common way, because if we can fix Q point for one stage, it will automatically reflect in the other stages of the ICs also, because all the stages are commonly tracked by using a single reference current. Because once you generate a reference current, from that reference current only we are steering the adequate current to other part of the IC. That is what is mentioned here. That is, the bias current of various stages tracks each other in case of, if at all there is any changes in the power supply variations or the temperature variations. So these are some of the advantages of using the current source and current steering circuits. And why you require current source and current steering circuit, students? In order to go for biasing in an integrated circuit. So whatever the biasing techniques that you have used in module 1 and 2, that is only for a single stage amplifier. We didn't consider as such an IC, right? So here we are going to consider an integrated circuit where you will be having a number of amplifier stages connected together, and we need to provide adequate current to each and every stages by using appropriate biasing circuits. So we are not going to design separate biasing circuits for each stages. Instead, what you will do, you will generate a reference current at a particular location, and from that location we will replicate the adequate current to other locations as well by using the current steering circuits. And the advantage of using these circuits are, the effort will be less. That is, no need to repeat that process of using the precision rectifier and power supply again and again for each stages. So that is not required. And second advantage is, that is, we will be able to track each other. That is, each stages can track each other, and it is easier to control the Q point or easier to stabilize the Q point, as all the stages are being controlled by the same reference current. Understood? From one reference current, we are going to generate the current for all the stages of the amplifier. So by fixing one stage, we will be able to track the changes due to the power supply and the temperature variations in all other stages also. So these are the advantages of using the current source and current steering circuits. Is the concept is clear for you, so that I can proceed? Sujit? Santosh? Now coming to the next topic, that is basic MOSFET current source. So this is the first topic of IC biasing. You know that current source is required for biasing an IC. So with this circuit, we are going to generate a reference current. Okay, we are going to generate a reference current. And with this reference current, we are going to generate an output current for a particular amplifier stage. So this is the basic circuit of current source using MOSFETs. Circuit for a basic MOSFET current source. You can take down the circuit. Done. Okay, now if you see the circuit, we are having two transistors, I mean two MOSFETs, Q1 and Q2, where the current flowing through Q1 is represented as I reference. Okay, so this I reference you can set by using this power supply VDD and the resistance R. I'll tell you the design equation later. So by using a precision resistance R, a very precise resistance R, you can set an appropriate reference current IREF. And this IREF is equal to ID1 as well. Why? Because here the gate and the drain terminals of the transistor Q1 is shorted. So there is no potential difference between the gate and drain. So if there is no potential difference, can you expect any current flow through this circuit? No, right? So whatever the current that is flowing from the power supply VDD, it will be flowing through Q1 without passing through this particular circuit or this particular branch. So ID1 is equivalent to I reference. And once we generate I reference, from this we can produce a required output current I0, which will be flowing through Q2. And why I require dotted lines here is because we will have some other additional circuits in this IC which will connect to this particular current source. I told you current source is something which is going to generate the reference current, and from the reference current we will be able to generate the required output current in respective nodes. So this is unwanted. We will have many other circuits connected to this particular circuitry. That is what is being shown as a dotted line over here. And one more thing, you can see the two gate terminals of Q1 and Q2 are short circuited, and the two source terminals are short circuited, which means the voltage across gate and source of Q1 is same as that of the voltage across gate and source of Q2. So I need not mention VGS1 and VGS2 because the gate source voltage of both the transistors are same. So I told you the main heart of the circuit or main portion of the circuit is nothing but Q1, and the Q1 should be in the saturation region. Okay, so for that we have shorted the gate and the drain. So if you short the gate and drain of a Q1, always a transistor can be operated in the saturation region. How? You know that this is an NMOSFET, and the condition for saturation region is VDS greater than or equal to VGS minus VT. This is a condition to be satisfied in order to maintain an NMOSFET in the saturation mode. This already we have discussed in the first module. But if you short the drain and gate voltage, then the voltage at the drain is equal to voltage at the gate. So since VD is equal to VG, VDS can be now written as VGS because drain potential is equal to gate potential. Now, if you see this equation, it is understood that the left-hand side is obviously greater than the right-hand side because the left-hand side is just VGS, whereas the right-hand side is VGS minus the threshold voltage. So obviously, left-hand side is going to be greater than the right-hand side. Therefore, the saturation condition is being satisfied. So if you short circuit the drain and gate terminal of the first transistor, which is going to generate the reference current, then you can ensure that always it will be in the saturation because I need to maintain this constant. Irrespective of any voltage changes, IREF should be in constant value. So that is nothing but the saturation region. So for maintaining the saturation region, okay, let me see. Whether it was I mean, the sound was not clear from the initial class, from the starting of the class, it was not clear or what?
Sir, few seconds it will be.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
Let me see. Okay, we'll continue now. We'll see. Okay. So again, I'll explain. So this is the MOSFET current source, which is going to generate a reference current IRF starting from the power supply. So from power supply, we will have a definite current flow I reference through the resistance R. So by using a precision resistance R, we will be able to set a proper current flow through Q1. So once you set this IRF, from this IRF, we can able to generate a desired amount of current I0, which will be flowing through Q2. So that I0 is a fraction of IRF. Okay, need not necessary that always IRF is equal to I0. Always there will be a change. Okay. And in some cases, I0 will be also equal to IRF. That is only for some special cases that I will tell you later. The one important factor is Q1 is a main part of the circuit. Q1 is a main heart of the circuit. So Q1 should be in saturation region. Why you want to maintain Q1 in saturation region? Because I need to ensure that the reference current should be fixed irrespective of any parameters. The reference current should be constant, okay, in spite of any change in the voltage. So to ensure the constant current, what you need to do is we need to operate this Q1 in saturation region itself. Fine. Now, in order to maintain this Q1 in the saturation region, what you have to do is you have to short circuit the drain and gate terminals of Q1. What you're doing, we are shorting the drain and gate terminals of Q1. Okay. Now, you know that the condition of saturation is VDS greater than or equal to VGS minus VT. Now, am I audible, students? Voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a condition to be satisfied for the saturation region. Now, if you see this drain and gate shorted means voltage will be same. There is no difference in the voltage will be same. That means the drain voltage will be equal to the gate voltage. The drain voltage will be equal to gate voltage. So instead of writing VDS, now I can write VGS because VD is equal to VG. Now, if you observe this equation, the left hand side is greater than right hand side. So that will make sure that your Q1 will be in saturation. That means the saturation condition is now satisfied. So please remember, in order to make the transistor in saturation region, what you need to do, you need to just short circuit its drain and gate so that, of course, the Q1 will be in saturation, and accordingly, you can maintain a constant reference current IRF in spite of any fluctuations in the voltage. So this is to be ensured. Okay, now based upon this saturation condition, now you have written the expression for the drain current ID1. And while writing this equation, I have written that ID1 is equal to I reference. Why? Because if you see this, whatever the current I reference, it is generated by using this capital R, that will be same as that of ID1, which will be flowing through Q1, because you can't expect any current flow from drain to gate. You can't expect any current flow from drain to gate, as the potential difference between the drain and gate is 0. Okay, and gate is offering an infinite input impedance, so I reference will be equal to ID1. So accordingly, I am writing the equation based upon our saturation equation. You know that from module 1 we have learned two equations, one for saturation and one for triode region. As of now, since Q1 is maintained in saturation region, I will go with this equation, that is half Kn dash W by L to the base 1. This indicates the Q1. This is for the Q1 transistor into VGS minus VTN the whole square, into VGS minus VTN the whole square, where VTN is the threshold voltage of N MOSFET. VTN is the threshold voltage of the N MOSFET. And you know that the difference between VGS and VTN is nothing but the overdrive voltage VOV. So this is the equation for the drain current, and put it as equation number 1 for Q1. Now also you can write ID1 in terms of resistance R. Okay, this is in terms of the transistor equation and the voltage, like the aspect ratio, the process the process technology constant, as well as the voltage. Now we are going to write ID1 in terms of resistance R, just by using the concept that is potential difference by resistance, that is your current, right? So what is the Ohm's law here? How you can apply Ohm's law here? What is the potential difference? Just tell me what is the potential difference. This is VDD, right? The voltage at this terminal is VDD. And what about the voltage at this terminal? It is equal to VGS, because this is shorted. This is shorted. So voltage at the drain terminal is equal to voltage at the gate terminal, that is VGS. So potential difference is VDD minus VGS divided by the resistance R. VDD minus VGS divided by resistance R, that is nothing but your reference current IREF, which is subsequently equal to ID1. So while writing the second equation, you can apply Ohm's law. So ID1 is equal to I reference, which is equal to VDD minus VGS by R, where I reference is the current flowing through R, that is a reference current, and it is denoted by IREF. So this is a two equation. These are the two equations for ID1 based upon Q1 transistor. So as of now, I have analyzed Q1. Now coming to Q2. So what is the purpose of Q2, students? We need to generate a proper current I0 from IREF. So we need to connect Q2 in such a way that gate and source terminals are short circuited. Okay. I'm going to generate I0. I'm going to generate I0 from IREF by making use of Q2. And what I'm doing is I'm shorting the gate terminals and source terminals together. So considering Q2, you know that VGS of Q1 is equal to VGS of Q2. VGS of Q1 is equal to VGS of Q2. So first I'm going to write the equation for ID2. ID2, what is ID2, students? ID2 is the drain current of Q2, which is equal to I0. So how you can write the expression again by using saturation condition, half Kn dash W by L to the base 2. Since I'm focusing on Q2 right now, just I will replace it with the 2 into VGS minus VTN the whole square. I'm not using VGS1 or VGS2 because the gate source voltage is same for both the transistors. Just a second. So since the two gate source voltages are same, we can't write VGS1 and VGS2. We will make it as VGS itself. So this is a second equation. I mean, third equation we got. So one equation is for ID1, right? And the next equation is for ID2, that is I0. Now we will divide the two equations. Okay, now we will divide the two equations, that is equation 3 divided by equation number 1. So left hand side will become I0 by I reference, isn't it? Left hand side of equation 3 is I0, whereas if you see this is IREF. So I0 by IREF is equal to half Kn dash is constant. You can cancel that. Even VGS minus VTN is also same, so that can also be cancelled. So the remaining terms is W by L to the base 2 divided by this term W by L to the base 1, whereas all the remaining terms will get cancelled each other. Now cross multiply this. You can take this IREF to the right side. So I0 is equal to IREF multiplied by W by L to the base 2 divided by W by L to the base 1. What is W by L? What is W by L? It is a width to length ratio, otherwise called as aspect ratio of the transistors. Now, from this equation, it is obvious that always the output current of a transistor is a multiplication factor of I reference. or a division factor of I reference. That depends upon the ratio of these two aspect ratios of the transistor. Accordingly, I can generate I0. In case if I use the matched transistors Q1 and Q2, matched transistors means their aspect ratios will be same. Okay. While fabrication, their aspect ratios will be maintained as same. So what we have to do here, this will get cancelled, right? Because if these two ratios are same, this will become 1:1. In that case, what will be your output current? What will be your output current? It is equal to I reference, right? So the conclusion is you can fix desirable transistor Q2 accordingly. Okay, what you want as I0. If you want I0 exactly equal to I reference in some stages of your IC, then you need to take Q2 similar as Q1. So you need to check the manufacturer data sheet. Accordingly, you need to take the aspect ratios and connect Q1 and Q2 in this particular fashion. Suppose I've generated I reference as 1 ampere and I need 0.25 milliampere, 0.25 ampere as I naught. From 1 ampere, I'm going to generate 0.25 ampere. So what I have to do? I need to take Q2 whose aspect ratio should be, just tell me whose aspect ratio should be 1/4 of Q1, isn't it? Then only I naught will become 1/4 of I reference. So different IC stages or different part of the IC will make use of different currents. So according to the required current, what you will do is you can choose transistor Q2 and accordingly we can produce I0. So this is called as a simple MOSFET current source. Any doubts? So once you have written this equation, you can write the special case. What is a special case? The special case is when the two transistors are identical, their aspect ratios will be same and therefore I0 will be equal to IRF. So this particular case is only applicable for the identical transistors. That is, the aspect ratio of 2 is equal to aspect ratio of Q1. So in this case, it is understood that we have simply replicated the same current again, right? Without any modifications. I have taken I0 as same as that of I reference because in one stage I need IRF and in the other stage also I need the same current IRF. So without any modification, I'm replicating the current or mirroring. Mirror means if you look into the mirror, you will see your face without any change, right? So the same thing, that is, you are replicating or mirroring the reference current in the output terminal without any changes. Okay, so this is called as current mirror. So that is why this particular circuit is called as current mirror circuit if and only if the two transistors are matched in terms of their aspect ratios, or the two transistors are identical in terms of their aspect ratios. Only then you can tell I0 is equal to I reference. In that case, the circuit is called as just a current mirror. Clear? Any doubts? So please understand that current mirror is always a special case of current source. You can't tell that current source is a current mirror, whereas you can tell that current mirror is a current source. Understood? I hope you are getting the difference. All the current sources are not current mirrors, but all current mirrors are current source. So current source will become a current mirror only if the aspect ratios of the two transistors are same. Then we can write I0 is equal to I reference. Next topic, basic MOSFET current mirror. And take down the circuit again. So tell me what is the difference between the previous circuit and this circuit. In the previous circuit, you are having a resistance connected over here, right? And by making use of this equation, you can fix the resistance and accordingly you will get a reference current. This is a design equation for I reference. Okay, so this is for your current source. Now we are going for current mirror, where that resistance is now replaced by a current source, which is called as I reference. So the difference between current source and current mirrors, I have removed that resistance, and in the place of the resistance, I have connected a current source denoted by I reference. So within 1 minute, this meeting will get on. Please rejoin back again. You can take down the figure.